Let me ask you a question. What if the Bible already gave you a blueprint for business, money, and wealth, but most people only read it devotionally instead of strategically? Why? Because Proverbs 31 was not written about a woman who was just spiritual. She was productive, she was profitable, and she was intentional. This chapter is not about poetry. It's not about just history. It's a business case study. And if you look at it well, I've been reading it daily, you will see it as such. And today I want to show you Proverbs 31 business principles that actually make money, not theory, not hype, but principles you can apply immediately to turn your life around financially. Listen, if you're a woman who have been called to business, you've been called to leadership, ministry, or entrepreneurship, this is for you. Welcome to Tea with Dee, where we talk about all of these topics right here. Listen, here's principle number one. Are you ready for it? She inspects before she invests. Listen to this clearly. Proverbs 31 says, she considers a field and buys it. Notice what it does not say. It doesn't say she rushed. It doesn't say she followed emotion. It doesn't say she asked 10 people for permission. This is where we get stuck, ladies. We're sitting out here, instead of having faith in God for our business, we're out there asking everybody for permission. It's okay to have wise counsel, but when you start to doubt yourself, you start to ask for permission everywhere. She considered. In modern times, she evaluated return on investment. What does this mean? This woman didn't waste money. She didn't waste time. She didn't waste energy. You need to understand this. And if your finances feel stuck, ask yourself this: have I been reacting or inspecting? Have I been evaluating the return on my investment? Because wise women don't just invest money, they invest with discernment. That is key. And let's go to principle number two really quick. She monetizes her strength. You're like, wait, what does that even mean? We're going to get into it. And I'm going to show you exactly what this means. Are you ready for it? Listen, 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 listen. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. Strength here is not just physical, it's capacity. I want you to think about your strength. What are you the strongest at? What are you good at? Is it teaching? Is it leading? Is it communication? Is it speaking on stages? Are you great at organizing? Are you good at building? Let me tell you why. Listen to this really quick. So, I have noticed this. I have noticed this right here. Where you are the best at is what people will pay you for. For example, my husband is great at consulting. He's great at building offers. You can go to him and he'll look at your whole whatever it is you do, and he'll say, "Oh, this is your offer." He'll see it really clearly. Whereas I'm great at communication. I can hear what you're saying, put two and two together and be like, "You know what? This is what you mean." Or I can say, "Hey, here's a better way to communicate and say this." Or here's another way I'm great at speaking. I'm great on stages. I'm great at communicating to other people. I'm great. I'm just good at it, right? So you have to see, what are people willing to pay you for? That's where it is. The Proverbs 31 woman did not hide her strength. She leveraged them. Leverage what you're great at. Leverage, if you're great at writing books, begin to write the books. Leverage that, because that's where your finances are going to come from. If you're excellent at something and it's still unpaid, you're probably thinking, I'm just being humble. No, that's not humility. That's you not being aligned with what God gave you, right? Your gifts make room for you. Your strength is not just a gift, it's a revenue stream. It's God saying, here's what I've given you so that you can go out. You don't have to stress, you don't have to have anxiety. This is the skill, just develop it and grow, right? Here's principle number three. She works with intention. Somebody say it with me: with intention. She's not out there hustling. She's very intentional. She works willingly with her hands. This does not mean she works endlessly, meaning you got to find something throughout the day. Listen, I've had my moments, and I know a lot of people, a lot of women go through this. I still go through it sometimes, and I have to remind myself, hey, we have to sit in the pause. I have done my three top things for the day, and it's okay to go and rest, be with my children, be with my husband, take a book, read a book, go pray and be with the Lord. More ideas even come, so, right? She does not work endlessly. It means she works intentionally, right? She's very intentional. She wasn't busy, she was effective. Let me show you this in action. So today, I knew that I had a few things I had to do, but I took the time yesterday to plan today. What does that mean? I said, all right, the top three things that I know for sure I need to get done today is for sure wake up, read the word of God, and pray for an hour. Not only that, I need to journal. Not only that, I want to be at Pilates. So I already scheduled my Pilates session at 9 a.m. And then I knew right after that, the main thing that needed to be done was I needed to come and film. That was super important because if I did those three things, I felt like I have accomplished my task for the day, right? So she wasn't busy, she was effective. A lot of women are exhausted not because they lack discipline, but because they lack focus. Focus, Linda, focus. I'm so serious. When we lack focus, we get burnt out. When we look at the Proverbs 31 woman, and I remember back then, a lot of people, I would hear women say, oh my goodness, I'm looking at this lady. How could I live up to her? And now I look and I say, she has systems. That's what it was about. She had a system. And also, as you have systems and as you grow, your mindset begins to change. And as your mindset begins to change, so does your behaviors, your habits, all of that. And you become that woman. Listen to this. Everything you do should either produce income, increase influence, or build infrastructure. It's either building your children, building your home, right? The wise woman, she builds her home. She doesn't pluck it down. That is Proverbs 14. You should be producing income. That's all throughout the Bible. Increase in influence. Go out and make disciples, right? If it doesn't do one of those, it needs to be reevaluated. I'm going to say it again. If it doesn't do one of those, it needs to be reevaluated. Busy does not build wealth, strategy does. Say it with me. Let's say it together. Busy does not build wealth, strategy does. We need to understand that. God has not called us to be busy, being busybodies, but to be productive. And in order to be productive, we got to have strategy. All right, here's principle number 4. She knows when her work is profitable. Proverbs 31 says she perceives that her merchandise is good. In other words, she tracks what works. It's just like you posting content today and you're saying, let me look at the algorithm or the metrics, I should say. Let me look at the metrics and see, okay, this post did good. Or this ad did good. Why? What language did I have here, right? She doesn't guess. She doesn't hope. She doesn't assume. She knows. If you don't know where your money comes from, what offers sell, what drains your energy, you're not operating in wisdom yet. You're operating in faith without stewardship. Did you hear that? Because in order for you to steward what you have to look at and see what is working, what ads are working, what content is working, what offer have I put out there right now that people are running to, and that's where I'm going to stay. Stick with it. I think Alex Hermosi says this. He says, stick with something for a year and see how it works. And faith still requires accounting. Clarity always precedes consistency. Here's principle number 5. She builds more than one stream. Ecclesiastes talks about this, right? She makes linen garments and sells them and sells them. She wasn't dependent on one stream. So that's plural. She diversified intelligently, not scattered, not all over the place. She was very strategic. Multiple streams don't mean doing everything. They mean expanding wisely. You can have one offer and there's so many different things that come into that one big offer, right? One offer becomes two. One skill becomes a system. One platform becomes leverage for another. This is how pressure decreases and peace increases. I'm telling you this right now from someone who has been in the online space since, let me see, the year 2020 is when I really, actually 2019 is when I really ventured out there into the digital space of creating digital products. And you have to see how one offer can become two. You have to see how you can do that. Principle 6, her words create wealth. This is one of my favorite. If any of you know, I love to speak. I love speaking. I love communicating. This is what I love to do. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Let me say this clearly. How you speak affects how much you earn. Did you hear me? How you speak affects how much you earn. I believe with wise words comes favor. With wise words, you can win friends. With wise words, it will position you in greater rooms. If you can't clearly explain what you do, who you help, and why it matters, this is all messaging, people won't pay you. Even if you're anointed, I'm gonna say it again, we need skills. Skills pay the bills. Even if you're anointed, skilled, or gifted, people won't pay you. They'll pay you up to a certain point, but they will complain. I'm going to say this again. We have gotten people that have come to us for consulting for their business who said, hey, I've tried this program, but it was, let's just say, by another believer, by a kingdom person, right? And they're like, and they went into their program and they say it was all like a lot of spiritual talk and everything, but there were no tactics. That's why you got to be able to explain to people what they're getting. The Proverbs 31 woman knew how to speak with wisdom. She wasn't noisy. And wisdom builds trust. Trust builds demand. Demand builds income. Here's principle number 7. She prepares for the future. She laughs without fear of the future. Why? Because she planned. Fear is often a signal of lack of preparation. I've been there before. And it's not lack of faith really, but it's lack of preparation, right? So she saved, she reinvested, she built systems. Any single time that I have fear of probably like speaking on stage or coming to record something, it's because I didn't prepare. So it's the same way when you fear for the future, you're not prepared. You're not stewarding over your finances to see what's coming in, what's going out. You're not seeing what offer is working so you can be able to scale it. You're not working in that way, right? So prepared women, they don't panic. They know how to pivot because they're watching over their things, right? And here's principle number 8. Her wealth had purpose. This is very important to understand. Her wealth has purpose. Her children rise and call her blessed. Her wealth wasn't selfish, it was generational. She knew, like, if you're a homeschooling mother, like I am, hint, hint, or even if your kids are not homeschooled, hopefully you are teaching them biblical principles for business, or hopefully you're teaching them business in general, not just what the school teaches, because we need to be able to raise our kids in such a way to prepare them for the future. The future is now. Like, literally, you have AI, everything at your fingertips. And if your kids are not learning any of these tools, they're going to be left behind. Generational. She didn't just make money, she modeled wisdom. And here's the truth: money is not evil. I don't care how much people say it's not evil. Mismanagement is. And the love of money is, right? Wealth in the hands of the wise becomes provision, impact, and it leaves legacy. That's why you got to teach your kids how to do well with money. You got to teach your kids to be a giver. You got to teach your kids to steward and not just spend, spend, spend. Because then they will know from watching you, wisdom. Come on, ladies. From watching you, they're going to know how to sell to make more money. They're going to say, I don't have to depend upon this job. I know that if I have the ability to communicate, to speak well, and to sell and to really invest my money wisely and to watch and discern my investments, then I'm going to know how to deal better with my money. Proverbs 31 is not about perfection. That's why I love it. Because back then, everyone I knew looked at it at this lens. They were like, how can I ever be this woman? And as I read it daily, I'm like, it's not about perfection at all. There is a whole business model in this. It's about stewardship. This woman didn't wait to feel ready. She moved with wisdom. She hired the help that she needed. So here's the question I'll leave with you. What would change in your life if you stop spiritualizing delay? What would change in your life if you stopped spiritualizing delay and started applying wisdom? Because wisdom helps us build wealth, and wisdom will have you have favor with man and with God. If this helped you, like this video, subscribe for more biblical wealth and communication strategies and business strategies, and tell me in the comments which Proverbs 31 principle challenged you the most, because wisdom doesn't just sound good, it pays well when applied.